Hello everybody, back again with Jeremy. So today I want to talk to you about something about entrepreneurship. I want to talk to you guys about this today. And the reason I want to talk to you about it is it's so glamorized right now. It's so the thing to be, I guess. If you ever listen to Gary Vaynerchuk, he says often, there's a lot of people out there that's a way better number 2, 5, 15 at Facebook than they are trying to run their own tech company, which I truly believe. Because being an entrepreneur, being a true entrepreneur, is not easy. It's actually a very difficult task. And I believe it's something that you have to have ingrained in you. It's not something that you can just, you can't jump into it. It's not, I don't think it's something that can be learned, personally. I think the spirit of being a true entrepreneur is not an easy task. It's a rough place to be. It's a rough time in life. I often told people when I was running my company that it was the best, worst job I ever had. Having to worry about every aspect, even if I wasn't physically in control of that aspect, I still had to worry about it. I still had to worry about making sure that my guys had 40 hours a week. I still had to make sure that the bills were paid. Those are all things I still had to do. And so everybody likes stories. So here's a story for you. When I was in middle school, because here in the Midwest we have a middle school and it's 6th, 7th, and 8th grade, and I'll be honest with you, I can't remember what grade I was in. But my mom came home from work one day and had a catalog where you could buy just random knickknacks and stuff. I'm guessing it's kind of like where the Dollar Tree buys their stuff or the dollar store buys their stuff. I don't know that for sure, but I'm guessing catalog, buy in bulk, things like that. Well, my mom said, hey, why don't you guys use some of your money and buy these, go through this book, find some stuff to buy and buy these little trinkets. And I was like, I like money. Let's see what we can do. And so I like guns and, stuff like that. And so what did I gravitate towards? They had these little guns in there. They were yay big and they were cap guns. And they looked like old school revolvers and like old Russian Rugers and just things like that. And I was like, that right there, that's the thing that I'm going for. And so I can't remember for the life of me what they cost, but it was a decent enough exchange that I could buy X number of those and I could turn around and sell them to my friends. Well, this is going to give you an idea of how old I am. I took these to school and I was selling them to my friends. I took cap guns to school and sold them to my friends. Well, I ended up getting called into the principal's office, and I wasn't trying to hide anything. I didn't know it was against the rules. I don't know that it was against the rules. It was just more frowned upon at this time, because basically I was told by my principal, hey, just do me a favor, don't bring them back, and sell them elsewhere. But that's where I started. I was in, I'm guessing 7th or 8th grade, and that's where I started. I always had a want to sell stuff. I always had a want to make a little extra money, and that's where it started. I moved on to, me and my buddy, we had a lawn mowing business when we were in high school, and my parents had this old school, I believe it was a Craftsman riding lawn mower. We had a push mower and a weed eater that we would, stick on top of the push mower. And anyways, I was always working towards something. I owned a detailing company for a while, and mind you, most of these were not legitimate, tax paying companies. They were just me being a kid trying to earn some extra money. I thought about opening an auto parts store. This is way back when. There wasn't any big chains around then. I mean, there was, but there wasn't. But I've done stuff like that, and I've definitely seen the ups and the downs, and I love it. I really do. Even when I failed, I was very into it. I loved the process. I loved the idea. One of my biggest things, and I mean, it should translate in this, is I love to help people. I'm a big car guy. I liked the idea of, trying to help people and giving some of my then expertise out. I don't have a lot of expertise on these newer cars, but I enjoyed that. And I still enjoy that to this day. I've got ideas in my head for companies I want to start. And we talked about in the past that you need to follow your ideas because they're dreams that only come to you. These are the things that I kind of go through. And I go through the process of making a logo and going through and doing business plans. And I go through and set up how the company would work and how many employees I would need and how much money I'd have to charge and make and all of this stuff. And a lot of them don't come to fruition because they're not realistic. A lot of them, they're not really in my wheelhouse. So it's hard to get something started that's not in my wheelhouse. It's just one of those things that either A, I see a need for, or B, I think it would be fun, whatever. So I have these ideas go over and over and over in my head. And some of them I don't do anything with because they're just outlandish. I have a friend of mine, he's my best friend in the world, and I bounce stupid ideas off of him all the time. And to be honest with you, he cuts through the muck when it comes through it. I'll give this one to you guys. I came up with this idea of having quick up or easy up gas stations. In Utah, there's a gas station chain called Maverick, and they've actually done some pretty cool stuff. And they've actually made it, instead of just a gas station, they've made it a destination where they have fresh food and they have Cinnabons and they have places to sit down and eat, and they've got, really good drinks and drinks you can mix and all this different kind of stuff. Takes up a fairly large footprint, but what it does is it gives you a place to go. I mean, even before we would go out, we wouldn't even need gas and we'd stop there for burritos or whatever. So that was kind of my idea, was to have this company designed where we could come in, we had everything pre-built to where we could get a gas station up in under a week. Obviously, a couple of hard parts would be, the oil water separators in the ground, the tanks in the ground, things like that. That would have to be done prior. But once the infrastructure was in, we could come in and bada boom, bada bing, we're done. But anyways, so I truly believe the entrepreneurial spirit, it has to be in you. And it's, like I said, it's awesome, but there's a lot of times that it's not in people. And people, they like the idea of the glamour of owning their own company. Well, I think it's something like 98% of companies fail in the first 5 years or some ungodly number like that. And so you have to go into this realizing you're probably going to fail. So if you just got out of Yale, Harvard, even like community school or whatever, and you spend all this money and time on this degree, and you have this opportunity to go to an established company, but you like the idea of owning your own company, I have one of two ideas for you. Either A, drop it. Just drop it all together. Go to the job that's set up, that's, there for you, and enjoy life. Work your 9 to 5, have your weekends off, take your holidays, whatever. Do that. There's nothing wrong with that life, and people need to understand that. Or B, if it's truly something you think you want to do, and you've never really done it before, go to your 9 to 5 and then dabble in it in your off time. See what becomes of it. There's no rule that says you have to jump all in. There's no rule that says you have to do crowdfunding and make $2 million in crowdfunding to start your company. No, there's not that at all. Just dabble in it. Start a little bit, and see where that goes, and see if that, the coronavirus hits and all camping supplies that you want to sell are at a drastic decline. If you can handle that, if you're okay with that, if you're okay knowing that you're not going to make any sales for the next 6-8 months, how does that feel? To know that you might lose everything that's in that company because of this time. and dabble in it a little bit. But when you dabble, go all in with it. Don't use your 9-to-5 job to pay for it. Treat it like it's its own company, its own entity, and see where it goes. And if it's something you want to do, great, quit your job later on down the road. But if you're an entrepreneur at heart, it's really hard for you to work for somebody else. And I'll be honest with you, I love my job, but it's super hard for me to work for somebody else. I like it right now because the benefits and all that good stuff, but at the same time, it's hard. It's hard working for somebody else for me. So understand that. And like I've told you before, you need to be you. There's nothing wrong with the 9-to-5 and playing softball 3 days a week. There's nothing wrong with that. Please understand that. And I'm not knocking that at all. I have friends that's what they do, and they live the best lives. They're happy. They hang out with their friends. They know that in 20, 30 years they're gonna most of them aren't that far away anymore, but in 15, 20 years they get to retire. They're not gonna have $2 million in the bank when they retire, but they're gonna have enough to live on, and they're gonna be able to live in their 2-bedroom, 3-bath, or 3-bedroom, 2-bath house, or 2-bedroom, 1-bath house, or whatever. And that's good for them. Like I've told you before, if money's your driving factor, it's not gonna end well for you. You've got to have another reason. So trust me, if you know that you're an entrepreneur, you're gonna know that you're an entrepreneur. It's gonna be in you. It's gonna have been in you for a while. It's gonna for a long time, I would assume. Like I said, ever since I can remember, I've always been coming up with ways to make some extra money and wanting to do my own thing, and whatever. I like the idea of having a crazy successful company and the prestige that goes with that. That's not my only reason, but I do like that. I really do. So this is a long video. I'm sorry. This is a passion of mine. I am an entrepreneur. So just understand that. There's nothing wrong with being number 2, 5, 15 at Facebook. There's nothing wrong with that. If you're not an entrepreneur, I would suggest don't dabble in it. But if you're going to, and you've never been into it, and you've never dealt with it, then do that. Dabble. Don't go all in. That's just my suggestion. If you want to go all in, that's on you. More power to you. I hope every day that you make it big and make it successful. So, anyways, this is Jeremy once again. I love you guys, and you guys do deserve everything you're willing to work for. And I'll never tell you otherwise. So, if I can do anything for you, please let me know. Hit the like, hit the subscribe, leave the comments, negative and positive. I love the feedback, guys. Just keep it coming. Once again, thank you guys. I love you all, and we'll talk to you tomorrow.